you going?
Real good.
Good.
What's good, everybody? How y'all doing today? Hello, Andre, Larry, DW, Ed. How y'all doing?
Good afternoon.
All right, so look, today's lecture is going to be a very good lecture. But before we begin today's lecture, I want to share 1 or 2 words with you guys. So, like 2 weekends ago, I gave a board repair class. And, you know, it revealed a lot of my weaknesses. It revealed a lot of my kinks in my armor with the technology, with the camera angles. Because y'all know this is what we do. I'm not a professional. So I just want to let y'all know that I've been reassessing the whole picture of this going forward. I just want to let y'all know that moving forward is going to be a lot better as far as quality, communication, and clarity. As far as quality, Rick and I are working on that right now. This is a test, but you know, it's a live test, but we want to make sure that our audio feeds are good. Our internet is good because next year we're gonna do a class like almost every month. R600, GE training, that training, you know, and different people gonna want access. So we gotta make sure that our audio is good. That's number 1, and our camera. Number 2, the communication. Moving forward, what we're gonna do is at the first of the month, we're gonna email you the course curriculum for the month and the course times for the month. What happened in the past was, you see, me and Rick, we got our own things going on. So we would like communicate like a couple days before class, like, hey, I'll see you on Saturday at 1. And then, you know, we would send out an email Friday or Saturday. You know, it wasn't a lot of time to inform guys. I realized that. So moving forward at the beginning of the month, y'all all gonna get emails with the times and the courses that they are. In addition to the camera quality being better, also the cloud, the stuff that we put on the cloud. Moving forward, again, it's gonna be uploaded at a more expedited time. We got another gentleman coming in. It's gonna be expedited at a later time for you guys, if you miss it, to come back to it. So with all that out the way, I just want to let y'all know to thank y'all for being patient with us, but we're gonna up our game for y'all. With that out the way, any questions about today's subject matter or any questions in general? Everybody okay? Okay, let's move into today's lecture. Today we're going to be discussing clearing capillaries and LGs. As y'all know, you know, it's very easy for you to have a leak in your evaporator. It's very easy to have a leak in your evaporator. You could, if you're dealing with a dual evaporator, you may also have an evaporator down here. This too creates a potential for a leak. So we also have another main area of concern, which is here. This is called our condenser coils. I put a video up. Can you show my face, please? I put a video up a week or 2 ago where I noticed that there was an actual leak located in the drip pan coming off of this discharge line. So you can have a leak basically with these LGs anywhere exteriorly, meaning here, anything in here, like those two evaporators that I made mention of, these two right here. So again, you can have leaks externally. again, those outside components that I made mention of, the dual evaporators, or if you're dealing with a single evaporator. And I'll explain how you can identify that now. But again, you can locate leaks exteriorly, but there are some leaks that are internal. And there are some restrictions that are internal. Our job today, my job, Richard's job, we're going to try to show you how to deal with those internal lines, how to pressure, how to check them for leaks, how to pressurize them if you have a restriction in them. So with that said, is there any questions about today's subject matter in general? All right, let's move right into it. All right, let's go ahead. I would like to I'm going to do a little bit of a screen sharing, a little bit of a presentation. Bear with me. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
It's still showing the refrigerators.
So what that means? I'm screen sharing.
Okay. Does anyone see the screen?
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
You see where it says condenser, RC, FC, and all of that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about dual evaporator. Again, those internal leaks. What I want to show you a picture of is a dual evaporator, right? Over here, you have what's called RC, which stands for your refrigerator compartment, okay? RC. You also have your FC, which is your freezer compartment. Now, those are those exteriors that I was talking about, those physical components that can be removed, in addition to the condenser, your dryer, your three-way valve compressor. But gentlemen, forgive me.
Put the plus sign there at the bottom.
And ladies, for future viewing, I want to speak to you about these yellow highlight areas. These yellow highlight areas. Well, these yellow highlighted areas, if you come down here to the bottom of the screen, they are areas inaccessible within the foam cabinet. Yellow highlighted areas are inaccessible within the foam cabinet. Richard, can you please show the screen?
You have to turn screen share off. Okay, what do you want?
I would like to show this demonstration. So, gentlemen, inside of this refrigerator here, inside of this capillary, you have this evaporator that we had made mention of earlier. But if you notice, these copper tubes go inside of this refrigerator, but we don't know where, or we cannot access them. They're inaccessible. And then this refrigerator is basically the same refrigerator, just turned around. If you follow it, you got tubes coming out of here, where my hand is, where this hand is right here. You got tubes coming out of here, these capillary tubes. So you got tubes, put the camera on me, please. You got tubes entering, and you got tubes exiting. That yellow area is this, the actual inaccessible foam, the actual interior lining of the refrigerator that we cannot access. So let's talk about that. Any questions so far? Any questions so far?
Screen share.
Okay. I would like to thank everybody for being here, truly. All right, bear with me as I share my screen. Okay, so now, guys, comes the question of, you hear people say you have an internal leak or you have an internal restriction. There's nothing else that could be done. You got to get rid of the refrigerator. I'm going to show you some alternatives and some different things to look at. Then you may not have to resort to that. So let's talk about clearing these yellow areas. What the hell did I do here? Sorry, guys. Apologies. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, but is it clear though? You guys see like the words and everything?
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah, they don't see what we're seeing in the upper
Okay,
right corner.
thank you guys. Now, again, this is beta. This is beta testing, so I'm gonna ask for input. I truly appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about these yellow lines, these insulated areas that we can access, okay? And today's class is how to access them, okay? But before we can get into that, we have to understand something very crucial about what we're looking at.
Sit down. Sit down, dude, so I can put you. Sit down on the floor. Come here, come here.
It's the first brief.
We're gonna talk about, what did I say last?
We're talking about the lines.
How we gonna access them and how we gonna do some testing on them. Okay, so let's talk about these capillary tubes, and let's look at this system here called the three-way valve. Okay, this three-way valve, and what that. Let's talk a little bit about that, and let's talk about those capillary tubes again. They go within the inaccessible area within the foam cabinet. May I show a demonstration? Well, not yet, not yet. This is a wonderful slide that has a lot of,
Unless they have that little window, they're not gonna see your hand movement and stuff.
I want to get rid of this screen. Okay, there we go. Okay, so guys, I want to talk about what we're looking at here. Can everybody see what we're looking at here?
Yes.
This is the three-way valve, okay? And let's talk about what the three-way valve is. What this three-way valve does is it sends refrigerant to the freezer compartment evaporator sometimes, and then sometimes it sends it to the refrigerator compartment, and then there's sometimes where it sends refrigerant to both simultaneous. Okay, so that's what the three-way valve looks like. Okay, now this is a nice zoom in picture, and I want you to pay attention to the word that says from dryer. Okay, from dryer, right there. Now, let's see that in real life and kind of talk about that and talk a little bit about what we got going on. Project your voice like that. Okay, any questions so far, gentlemen? Okay, so again, remember here's this three-way valve. And again, we said, again, it's all mashed up and beat up, but you saw what it looks like, nice and tucked in. I got it like this because I want to actually point out what we're looking at. So again, here's your filter dryer. And if you don't know what a filter dryer is, just a really quick crash course, you know, basic rundown. It's just to remove moisture and any contaminants that's within the system. Here's a picture of a brand new one. But again, we'll save filter dryers for another day. I really want to talk about accessing these inner, inaccessible areas within the unit. So here's our filter dryer. And again, out of our filter dryers, entering into our three-way valve over here. Again, internally, this three-way valve diverts refrigerant flow to one of two areas. This capillary here, and then this secondary capillary that's over here, right there. I know it looks like a lot of copper, but guys, if you understand this and if you really get this, you're gonna learn how to clear restrictions in your capillary, and you're really gonna benefit from this training. So again, you got from the filter dryer, refrigerant entering into the three-way valve, where the three-way valve decides if it's gonna go freezer or if it's gonna go refrigerator. Now I know what your next question is gonna be. Brother B, how do you know which one is freezer and how do you know which one is refrigerator? Well, there's some bands on here that are very identifiable. I may need to zoom in on this. Can you guys see this blue band on my hand?
Yes.
Okay. This blue band, what it represents is the capillary that feeds the freezer. I'll say that one more time. This blue capillary tube represents the capillary that feeds the freezer evaporator. Now, if you look here on the secondary capillary, you'll notice a different color. Does somebody want to share what color they see?
Red.
Absolutely. Whoever said that,
Yeah.
great job. Red. Your red band on this capillary represents refrigerant flow to the refrigerator evaporator. Any questions on that part? That is very important. Okay, put the camera to me. Now it's time to see who's paying attention. I'm gonna ask for involvement in this class. What color does my blue go to? What evaporator?
Freezer.
Good job. So then the red is obviously the refrigerator. Great job, whoever said that. Thank you for the participation. Now, let's go back to the screen, please. Guys, how is the training quality camera so far? Audio and visual, how is it so far?
It's good.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Again, we're trying to, really fine tune it. So thank you for the participation. Okay. So again, there goes your three-way valve. There goes, again, the blue band. Okay, this is backwards, guys. Blue band to RC, that's wrong. And we're gonna debunk that theory live right now, okay? This is a PowerPoint, that's wrong. It's just a lot of, this PowerPoint was given to me. Okay, again, this is what a nice, clean, this is what you're gonna see when you show up to the job, not the nightmare that I got. You're gonna see this three-way valve tucked in the back. There's two Phillips screws over here. One, can y'all see my mouse over that screw? All right, well, one, and then there's another screw adjacent to it, okay? That's in order if you have to remove the three-way valve. But again, you want to look for the blue and red identifying bands to let you know what evaporator you're dealing with. Okay, let's continue. Any questions so far? Okay, now we're gonna talk about clearing the refrigerator compartment capillary tube. Okay, so let's go over here. Apologies, let me stop screen sharing. Thank you, Richard. And guys, thank y'all to my brother Rich, man. Let me see this. This is the real MVP, y'all. Thank y'all. All right, look, Richard. So let's come over here. This is our evaporator, fresh food compartment. Let's go ahead, clear that capillary line. Let's go ahead and prepare the conditions.
Now, do any of you guys know what the setting should be for the oxygen and acetylene regulators when using an oxyacetylene torch?
Yeah, I think 15 PSI.
15 for which one? Oxygen or acetylene or both?
I think it's 5 on acetylene and 10 on oxygen.
Yeah, it's usually about 5 on acetylene, 5 to 7. And you can go about 10 to 15 on the oxygen. Very good.
Yeah.
If you don't have those set properly, you're not going to get the flame you want. Remember, if you set it incorrectly, instead of this being something we use to braze or unbraze tubing, we end up cutting metal. And the last thing we want is burn a hole through our pipe.
Yeah.
What do you need, Brent?
I was looking for that cool joke, but it's not. Streets out here, I want to talk a little bit about this before I begin. Okay. Gentlemen, I want to talk to y'all a little bit about. I want to give y'all put the camera on. I want to give you put the camera on. I want to give y'all a little story time. How I really got good at these was working with Sears as like doing third warranty from them because they're Kenmore, LG wasn't, they were sending their own people. So I was a third party vendor for Sears, and this is how I really got nice at these. But I made some mistakes in the beginning, especially when I was working in the inside of the unit. The lining, this plastic lining. It's very important and it's very critical to protect that, because if you destroy that, you may owe the customer a new fridge. The warranty may not have your back. Fortunately for me, they have my back. Another thing that you want to look forward to when you're working in this area is, come over here, Richard, is these Molexes over here. These connectors, you might want to zoom in a little bit more.
I can't see the.
It's okay. These connectors over here. If these connectors melt, disfigure, well, guess what? They won't plug in. They won't plug in. Hold on. Bear with me, y'all. You see that? How they plug in like that? If you melt that and disconfigure that, now you're in real trouble. So again, you want to take a lot of extreme care when you're working in this area. A lot of extreme care. Obviously, there's a little bit of charring and a little bit of, but this is a refrigerator for school that many people, you know, have worked on. So this isn't bad comparing like, you know, what it should look like. So you want to maintain that integrity. You want to maintain that everything is in good shape. So let's go ahead and let's talk about removing this. And let's first things you want to do is obviously you want to disconnect here. Now they sell a couple products. This is one. We're not endorsed by them, but they're okay. It's called Cool Gel. They're all right. Basically, you want to spray, but when you spray, you don't want to spray your tubes because then your torch, it won't, you know, you can't work on them. What you want to do is spray around it. You want to spray here where my hand is. You want to spray around here. You know, you want to protect the copper tubing and spray around it, you know. Another alternative is old school, but I'm a street guy. I'm a guy that, this is how I work in the field. This is how I do it. I just get a regular damp cloth. I put it around my area. Now I'm saying a regular straight up damp cloth like that. So when I'm doing my work, you know, this damp cloth will act like a barrier to this liner. But to highlight how effective this is, I'm going to use a little bit of it. So again, you just want to make sure you don't spray your coils. All right. So I pretty much got the area secure. Again, you want to make sure everything over here is disconnected. Any questions so far?
Do you use the fire mats?
What did he say?
Say that again, please.
Do you use the fire mat? You know what I'm talking about? The
Oh
flammable mat?
yeah. The little heat shield. Yeah, we use those
Yeah,
too.
Okay,
Yeah. I got one. Just mine's is all full of holes and burnt up. Because I burned through them so quick. But yeah, we got heat shields.
Another thing that I have used is I bought heavy duty aluminum foil and metal foil tape like air conditioning guys used on the ductwork. And I would take and I would put a layer of foil here, tape it, and then I'd actually put another layer, but I wouldn't put it tight. I'd let the layer hang out a little bit to like create an air gap and then tape that. So the foil and then another layer of foil create a little air gap, and that also reduces the risk of heating up. When you add heat, remember your torch may be pointing right here, but your heat's going to rise. So if it goes up and you're only protected just this little bit, you got the chance of damaging some other parts of the refrigerator. So be aware that heat rises. If you're down here and you're trying to heat this up around here, around the lines, then you want to protect this whole area here, plus a little bit higher up. Now, when you use that cool gel, you're supposed to shake it up really good so that it works in that area. Now I'm going to let Brandon take over.
Okay, so we wanted to present to you that heat shield that you were talking about, but one that was in a little bit better conditions than this. Obviously, this one's been in the field, this one's been used, but you can use it. You basically put it behind the component as such, and you know, you do your work. But again, I really want to highlight that cool gel and show you the effectiveness of it. So again, we just looked at three different approaches that you can have. You could do a wet rag, one of these heat shields, or that cool gel, but you got to put something. All right, enough talking, let's rock and roll. All right, let me light up. Yeah, I'm just looking for my striker or my lighter, which I have my lighter. And can you pass me that wrench over there, sir? You're a gentleman and a scholar. Wonderful. 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 Can the people see me? Okay. All right, guys, hold on. Here, why don't you do this? Go ahead and set up. Again, make sure when you turn on your torch, you know, you pointing it away from something, you ain't pointing it at the
Yeah,
fridge.
he's got this settling a little high at 10, but that's okay. And then this one here, this cannot be accurate at 60 PSI.
No, it's not. This gauge got busted.
Yeah, guys got to take care of these torches. They drop them in their truck and everything else.
Okay. So that's how you will get to that. Show the camera. Listen, when you put your torch down, always put your torch down somewhere that's safe. You know that it ain't gonna, like this is hot right now. If I put that on this white liner, this is what it's gonna do. It ain't melting in now, but don't ask me how I know. Just I know. But it's somewhere you know that it's safe. All right. So now we got the capillary exposed here, right? Let's cool it down a little. Wait till it cools down. And what we're gonna do is let's make sure that we got a capillary with a clear diameter. So I like using these, you know, different strokes for different folks. These are capillary tube cutters. I don't want to cut too much and leave myself with no capillary. So I only want to cut a very little, very little amount. Just to open it up, make sure, you know. Even that is a little soldery. Because that solder goes back up in there. All right, there we go. I can see that diameter nice and clear. I don't know if they could see that diameter. Yeah, that's very fine. That's a very small.
Let me try to get in real close, see if they can see it.
That's a very small hole.
Can you guys see the opening on the cap tube right here? It's just a little dark circle inside the shiny copper there.
Show it again. I'll tell you. See it.
Can't see it good.
Put black paper next to it.
Hold on.
That's contrast.
Let me get
Hold
this.
on, guys.
I'm gonna do something to this camera, make it easier for me to grab it. I'll take the tripod off the bottom of the
Yeah,
camera.
bear with us. We're just taking the tripod off. Oh yeah, they could see that. Yeah, use this black maybe. Can you get it? Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Now look at my mouse. Right here. You wanna make sure that you can see that hole. We can't get the camera any better than that, guys, but you just wanna make sure you can see the hole and it's not full of solder. That's pretty good. That's about as good as we can demonstrate.
All right. Yeah.
You know what I fucked up at?
What?
I unbooted every motherfucker, then he started over again. Then we get to that part where it say allow this motherfucker to look at whatever I'm watching, I guess whatever he's supposed to allow this shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I
Okay.
kept denying the motherfucker.
Oh no, don't deny nothing.
Okay, so again, when you again, very important piece of information to remember. Never cut too far. You want to give yourself a little bit of capillary to work with, okay? So now that we have this bit of capillary, we have to then locate the corresponding capillary down by the three-way valve. So Richard, can you please back up just a little bit? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have to spin this refrigerator. So that they could see more. Yeah, we'll turn it around. The lighting is perfect. The lighting is perfect. Okay. So let's see who's paying attention. Which capillary? We got red and we got blue. Which capillary did we say was fresh food compartment?
Red.
Red.
Wonderful. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our capillary tube cutters. We're gonna cut here. Again, you want to make sure that you can see the orifice right there. Y'all
Oh,
see
yeah,
that
good.
orifice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that it's not pinched. Sometimes when you're soldering, that solder, let's go to the drawing board. I need to demonstrate. This is very important stuff. I have created my own restrictions. So what's happening is, as you're soldering tubing, this is let's say, 1/4, and this is my capillary. Is it 1L or 1?
2 Ls.
No, how many pieces?
I think it's one.
I think it's one. Guys, capillary, forgive my spelling. So when you're putting your capillary into this 1/4, and you got your brazing rod here, as this solder begins to melt, you don't want it to travel back or block your hole and fill that up. Back up a little bit. That will cause a restriction. You don't want to do that. So again, that looks like, again, when you cut in this, you want to make sure that the hole is free so that the freon could travel out. Now, you want to make sure that your soldering oil is in here and that this part is airtight. But what you don't want is for it to reverse backwards. So that's why I say when you cut your capillary, you want to make sure that you can see that orifice. Another thing you want to make sure that when you're soldering, you want to put it in far enough that as you're soldering, it doesn't back up into the capillary.
So I want to add
Sure.
to that you're applying your heat so that both pipes get hot and the solder flows. If the pipe is cold, the solder won't flow. One of the biggest problems people have when they're brazing is they sit there way too long with the torch. Even when they're melting the solder, they're sitting there playing with the solder stick. They just keep going like this with the solder. Once it starts to flow, get in there and get out, because the flame draws the solder towards it. The heat draws the solder. So when Brandon's talking about solder coming in here, it's when both pipes are hot enough, the solder is going to flow. If this pipe is real hot, the solder will flow back because it's hot all the way in here. So you want to get in there, you want to solder all the way around it, make sure it pulls in a little bit and get out. It shouldn't take you more than 30 seconds to a minute to solder any braze joint. If you're staying there way too long, either it was dirty and not clean, or you're just not doing it right. So practice with copper tubing, but practice getting in and out as fast as you can.
Okay, Wonderful. Thank you, Richard. Okay, so again, today's lesson. Listen, when these compressors fail or they break down, sometimes the oil in the refrigerator will travel or actually restrict these capillaries. And you know, they're very small to begin with. The diameter is like a pinhole. And then, you know, you got this internal area. So it's very hard to navigate. But what we're going to show you today is how to do that. So what we're going to do is, let's do some prep work. They put the red band here, so they didn't leave us like, you know, a lot of identifying room for the next guy. But when we start, you know, we may burn a little bit of that up, but, you know, we'll have to figure it out. But anyway, we're going to put an access valve on there, like so.
That's solder there too.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. You're the man. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's prepare that situation.
There was a pair of pliers here. It's in the fridge. Okay, one thing he needs to do before he brazes that valve on there, if you look here, that pipe and the capillary tube are way too many different sizes. Look at the amount of play in here. So we do something called a pinch, where we squeeze the pipe down onto the capillary tube so it doesn't have this big gap. If it has a big gap like that, it's going to fill up with solder. Now, you do have to be careful when you pinch not to crush the capillary tube either. It's always good to go about an inch in. If you go about that far in, you got less chance of restricting it. If you go real close like that, you're going to have a better chance of restricting it. So you want to go about an inch in and then pinch this down so it holds it. Brandon will demonstrate that for you.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. So what you want to do is you want to get to this capillary, prepare it first. Prepare it. Get it nice and clean. Now, these access valves, they come with little cores in them. You want to remove those by using this guy.
The cap comes with something called a core removal tool.
Here's your core. That's beautiful, man.
It's because you're in the picture.
Oh, stop it. All right, we're gonna go here. Now, remember Richard was talking about pinching in 1 inch. All right, so let's go in about here. And then we're gonna pinch off this excess like so. Again, I'm taking care not to pinch my capillary, but rather pinch the excess. Can y'all see what I did there? I only pinched here. I didn't pinch the capillary. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the participants. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that I have that in, again, you know, I want to make sure I'm protecting the customer. I'm protecting the customer's floor. You always want to make sure you have a tarp or some sort of a heat protective barrier for our school. And just for demonstration purposes, we're just going to use this guy here. And a board cover should suffice. Yeah, Richard, these are street hacks. These are called Brother B Street Hacks. Volume 1. I'll send you the bill. That's a Brother B street hack, but very effective.
I appreciate it.
Oh, you're quite welcome, sir. All right. My striker is right here in my pocket. Okay. All right, gentlemen. We got that going on.
when you light the torch, crack both tubes. Just a little bit. If it don't light, add the acetylene a little more. If it pops, it's too much oxygen. Go. Yeah, that should only take them less than a minute.
I like to warm up my valve side, get it nice and going. You should be good to go. And now we're gonna pressurize this and we're gonna make sure that we have good integrity. Move your foot. Oh. Oops, sorry guys. All right. So now we're gonna go ahead and do that, but on the inside. Any questions so far? Thank you, sir. Brother B Hacks. I'm gonna write a book called Brother B Hacks of 101.
Want to add the nitrogen now? Just,
For what? Let them see.
no, we can go there and see it come out. You don't need a valve on there to see it come
Yeah,
out. We'll
alright.
take the camera over there. once you
Well,
put the
classes, well, how much time we got?
nitrogen- We're running late on time. so
Yeah,
we
yeah, how
got-
much time? Because we gotta do part 2 anyway. How much time we got? Oh, 1:51. Okay, guys. Yeah, this is a perfect segue. Perfect segue. Okay, so guys, what we're gonna do now is, thank you, sir. We're gonna go ahead and apply nitrogen.
Now, before he connects the gauges to that valve, he wants to make sure that that end is not too hot. If it is too hot, you will damage the seals in your gauge hoses. So please be careful not to connect this to your hoses when the valve is too hot. If you can't put your finger on it, do not put a hose on it. So here he's connecting the other hose to the nitrogen tank regulator. Nitrogen tanks, when they're full, are close to 2,000 to 3,000 PSI pressure. We don't want to go more than 100 PSI, but we're trying to flush it out.
If in doubt, there's always the model tag too. Model tags do tell you on the PSI. Okay. Let's go ahead and hook this guy up now.
Now, I do have to add one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Can we bring up that slide
Sure.
showing the system?
Yes, sir.
Guys, I want to point one thing out that's important now to what we're doing and why it's important. Go to screen share, down at the bottom. Okay, guys. Focus, Ken.
Yes, sir.
I know you guys really can't see me, but look at this FC freezer compartment where it says check valve.
Can everybody see that check valve?
That check valve is very important. So we got 2 evaporators. And the check valve is when you're using the refrigerator compartment, the Freon, when a 3-way valve is sending Freon here through the refrigerator evaporator, it's going to come this way back to the compressor. The check valve keeps it from going back towards the freezer and causing sluggish refrigerant flow. Now, we are right here blowing pressure into the refrigerator compartment evaporator and out. That's just fine. Now, the next evaporator capillary tube that we're going to do after this would be the freezer one. We don't want to go into the freezer and try to blow in this direction. This check valve will get damaged if you run the Freon the wrong way. So from the 3-way valve, we can add those valves like we're adding. And we can go from the refrigerator one back towards the 3-way valve. We cannot do it with the freezer. If we went into the freezer compartment and tried to back flush it from there, we got to be careful, especially here. Now, this line is not the capillary tube. This line is the suction line, which goes back towards the compressor. If we were to undo the cap tube like Brandon did, we'd undo it right here, and we can back flush just the capillary. But we have to make sure when we're back flushing, we know what we're back flushing. Right now, what Brandon is doing is we disconnected the line from here and disconnected the line from here. Just the capillary tube. We're not checking anything else in the system. We are just making sure that the capillary for the refrigerator evaporator is not restricted. Examples, if a customer called you out and said, my freezer cooling just fine, my refrigerator is not cooling, and you think that you might have a restriction in the evaporator of the refrigerator, this is how we're going to check that out. So that's what we're doing now, is we're only checking the capillary tube here from the refrigerator evaporator to the three-way valve. Has anybody got any questions on that?
No.
Okay, you see in the picture here in the bottom right, it says regulated nitrogen. But if you try to do that and blow nitrogen back this way, we can damage this check valve. This is internal in the walls, like Brandon said. If it's in the yellow, it's in the walls and we can't fix it. So if we're not careful, we can damage that check valve. This is really for the LG dual evaporator units. Okay, go ahead, Brandon, take over.
Any questions?
So that doesn't apply to Samsung? The Samsung doesn't have the same setup?
I cannot look you and tell you if that particular model has a check valve or not, brother. I can't. So to give you a good answer, no, share it again. Well, show me.
Okay, but I
No,
okay.
not yet. Cancel
Minimize that screen. Then.
that. Cancel that. Look, show the gentleman my face. I want to answer his
But
question.
minimize the thing so you could see the.
Look, brother, I don't know that, but I got a solution for you to protect you from that, just in case. Now, can he see me though?
Yeah, they can see you and the screen now. We're not
Can
sharing.
they see me pointing?
They see you. They see you from here.
But can they see this?
They see it from here. So whatever.
Can y'all see like what I'm showing?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Look, what I recommend is the following. What you want to do is you can blow from your hot side. Make sure your three-way valve is in the home position, and you will have nitrogen returning
To your suction.
to your suction. Does that make sense?
As long as you're blowing the nitrogen in the direction the refrigerant is supposed to flow, you're okay. If you reverse the flow and you connect it to the suction line or the process tube on the compressor, then you're back flushing, and that's when you risk damaging the check valve. Now, I've been through some Samsung dual evaporator manuals, and I don't see a check valve in their manuals, but I'm not going to say for 100% whether or not they have a check valve in there.
Now, what you could do is you can remove the filter dryer. And when you remove the filter dryer, you got open area to hook up here or one here. What I recommend is we come here and we're gonna do it. And once you here, you can do this side and that'll clean out both capillary tubes. But let's isolate and do one at a time. There will be a part 2 to this video. Today, we're just gonna show you refrigerator. So again, at the three-way valve, we put this. Now we're gonna go up to the compartment, which is cut here, and we should feel nitrogen coming out of there. Let's go ahead and conduct that test.
Okay, so he's gonna connect the nitrogen up. How do we
Show
get?
them here, Richard.
I was trying to get the Zoom window back open just for now, just so I can see. So now he's gonna connect the nitrogen up to the valve that we created. By now, it's definitely cooled down.
Okay, what I'm gonna do though, is I'm gonna hook it up and then carry everything backwards.
I can take the camera around the
You
backside.
can?
Yeah, the cable's on enough
Well, then that'd
without
be,
moving the fridge.
that'd be better to do.
We won't have all the lighting, but at least we have the camera. Okay, no more than 100 PSI whenever we're adding nitrogen or flushing the system out. The biggest problem we could have when we're doing that is the evaporators are made of aluminum, and over 100 PSI can cause a problem with the evaporator splitting or causing a crack or leak within the system. So we're at about 50 PSI, 60. So we're gonna try to get a flow rate where it's constantly flowing through. We're not pressurizing and holding pressure. That would be like once you put a system together and you're leak checking it.
All right,
Okay, so now he's at 100 PSI, system's open.
let's go ahead and partially open it.
And it's open.
It was
Yeah,
open.
you closed it. Open it back up.
Okay, but we gotta go to the front now. To the front of the unit.
We lost pressure.
No, I closed it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let's go to the front of the
Yeah, leave
unit.
it open and we'll walk around. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the other side and we're going to check out that capillary tube on the evaporator and check to make sure we have good flow coming out. Hold on a second while we move the camera around. Now remember, that was the red one. The book said blue, but the red one is the one that's in this refrigerator compartment. And then we can hear good flow. And he takes his thumb out. And the one thing that I'm happy not to see is oil. You start to see oil flying out of that tube, we got a problem. Oil is usually coming from the compressor. And that means the compressor ran hot, dirty condenser, bad condenser fan motor. Those are the signs of oil, and that's how those restrictions get created.
Okay, let's do a recap. Can you show me, just stand, you don't have to do that. Just stay where you are.
That's it. You want to go back to the screen share?
Yeah, I wanna go back to the speech.
No, the Chrome window in the bottom left, in the middle there. Top tab. No, go back to that. And that tab, right there, that tab, the Google Drive. That's it.
Okay, thank you. bud. Okay, so again, guys,
I made it full screen, but you minimized.
oh shit.
How about that? See where it says PDF, hit PDF. You minimized it somehow.
Okay, so again, guys, there's some words and some terminology that I really want to take away. Clearing cap tube. Jeez, sorry,
Touch the
guys.
screen.
Man, these be the headaches that I'll be running into. I'll be talking about the drive me nuts. My bad, y'all. My shoulder touched the. What happened here?
It's opening up.
Are you choosing it with DocuHub?
Uh,
No, don't use.
I can't get out of it. You got the
Okay.
keyboard to escape.
I gotta back up a little. Okay, so again, couple terminology we want to take away from today's class. Dual evaporator, fresh food, freezer, 2 evaporators. Clearing cap tube. Again, you get restrictions, oil, whatever gets in them. Clear it. Remove all particles, all debris. Backflush. Backflush basically is like what we described, like when we would return, or we would go opposite the traditional flow of freon. That's the wind, brother. That's the wind. Isolate heat exchanger, we'll do that at a separate one. Isolate condenser, we'll do that at a separate one. Okay, again, we spoke about your compressor, the flow of freon, traveling through your condenser, traveling through your drive, which at that point, depending on the position of the three-way valve, it's either gonna go to the RC or the FC, refrigerator or freezer compartment. Again, as it travels through their areas that are accessible, we said freezer evaporator. I'm sorry, refrigerator evaporator, freezer evaporator, outside condenser, compressor, three-way valve, dryer. Those are accessible exterior components. But today's training was about the yellow areas, which was the highlighted areas, the areas. Bear with me, gentlemen. We said yellow areas are highlighted, are inaccessible within the foam cabinet. Okay? Again, the Yoder, we'll speak about that later, but again, for today's classes, we were talking about these two cap tubes. And in today's class, we showed you how to clear the refrigerator. At the three-way valve, we cut here and we put a three-way, we put an access valve. And then we also came here at the actual evaporator and we disconnected it. So what we did was at the three-way valve, we were able to push nitrogen straight out. So we showed you in today's class how to clear this yellow portion of the unit, okay? This yellow highlighted area that's inaccessible. Today's class, we showed you how to remove any restrictions in that fresh food capillary tube. Any questions? Thank y'all for coming. Y'all have a great weekend. Still here?
That one.
All right, we good. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Good class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.